Hello and welcome to Move the Line, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. I'm Ryan Noonan, joined here as always by Connor Allen. Week 12, flying by. We got Thanksgiving next week, Connor. 3 games, just an atrocious Thanksgiving slate, and then a Black Friday game, which is just even worse. Kansas City and the Raiders. It's not great, but how we doing, buddy?
Good. I know no one cares about my fantasy team, but I'm about to start Tommy DeVito this week. So prayers up. You reminded me just because of the Thanksgiving game, we're probably going to see him. I think there's a legit chance we see Drew Lock the week after, just based on like incentives and all that. We can get into that a little bit later, but yeah, prayers for me. We'll need it. Must win game. So we'll see how it goes.
The 20-man league? Like why we got Tommy Cutler?
FFPC 9-2 and somehow have not clinched the playoffs. If we lose, we actually might not get in. Which I've never played in a league where I'm 9-2 heading into the final week. I might not get in. But Josh Allen on bye. Rest of the league it's a tough league. $2,000 fantasy league. It's not easy. So somehow sweating my dick off at 9-2. So here we are.
Yeah, I thought our team was going to be really good this year. That never got off the ground. Never really happens. I know you had a good team a couple of years ago with our guests this week. Excited, joined by an old friend, young man. But in terms of friendship, he's an old friend, former teammate here at 4 for 4. This gentleman's introduction has changed here over the past 24 hours. For the record, I did invite him on prior to knowing that he had an announcement too. So I feel like we're not necessarily, chasing the tout chasing here. Taking his data science skills from Fantasy Pros over to Penn Gaming and ESPN Bet. It is Sam Hoppin. Sam, again, congratulations. We're very excited for you and welcome back to the show.
Look, thank you. You said welcome back. Have I been?
We've had you before.
Okay.
So, yeah, Connor and I stopped doing guests for a little while because, transparency, booking guests is a miserable experience. For the most part, you're trying to book other people that do content. Their availability and their schedule is tough. We had some in-house people that we did for a while. We had Daigle for a little while. We had Sharp Clark for a little bit. Now we got back to the guest thing this year. So I know in a previous iteration, we've had you before. Okay. This is not our first move line. So
yeah, happy to
glad it was impactful for you that you remembered it.
Yeah, not I guess happy to be in the top 70 of guests you would consider having on. But yeah, thanks for the congrats. Happy to chat with you guys. Excited to make the next move in my career and do some more football analysis.
Yeah, top 75 in ties for the record, but it's either way. I'm glad we got you before. Podcasting, was no longer part of something that you have to do. Obviously, no longer doing that for the folks at Fantasy Pros. I don't think that's going to be in the scope of your asks over at Penn. But anyway, we'll jump into that here and shortly and get a sense of what you could share. But we're excited to find out. But remind folks, 2 episodes of Move the Line each week. This is Wednesday. We're going to get into some of the Week 12 games. Friday, prop drop show, 3 p.m. Eastern. Move the Line wherever you listen to podcasts. 4 for 4 bets on the YouTube channel. Subscribe, rate, review. All those things go a long way in supporting us. You want to get the betting subscriptions, access to everything that we do. Massively discounted right now. Our Black Friday sale kicks off early. You don't need a coupon code or anything. You just go over to 4for4.com/plans. Scoop that up right now. It's even cheaper through our partnership with Rebet, which we've talked a lot about. You can use promo code 4for4bet for that. You can use promo code HighSlop if you want to take advantage of the HighSlop deal where you get a month of 4 for 4. A month of High Slops, Dub Club, whatever way. If you have specific questions, reach out to us. Let us know. Lots of different ways to get here, and I think it's where you should be. Again, maybe you're a Connor. You're going to have a 9-3 fantasy team and not going to be in the playoffs, and you still want to sweat some football speculation stuff. You want to get in the prop streets a little bit like that. Come over, come hang out with us. We'd be happy to have you. All right, buddy. New gig. We know the scope of your skill sets is. We still have tools on the site that have your name on them. It's created by Sam Hoppin at the bottom.
Still get messages about those every once in a while.
Yeah. Occasionally it's like, can we just get Sam on a call? Can we figure this out? This tool's broken, but I'm sure you have a sense of a little bit of what you're doing. Some stuff maybe you can't tell us, maybe you can. Can you help us with our limits? What's going on with you over at Penn Gaming and tell us a little bit about that gig?
Yeah, I've got no shortage of people asking to cut their, or I guess remove their limits. That is not in my purview.
Yeah, it's a little tight over there. It's a little tight.
Yeah. Hey, that's above my pay grade. Yeah, I can't share a ton about what I'm doing. We'll be doing some modeling on the NFL side, pretty much focusing on all football all the time. We'll still be putting some content out on X and now Blue Sky. Find me on there at Sam Hoppin as well. But yeah, just gonna be doing a lot of football analysis and research.
We're excited for you. No more golf?
No golf. No golf. Well, no modeling golf. I will be playing golf.
Sam deserves a little shout out here, Connor, before I kick it to you. You know, like the rabbit hole is in a very different space now over on BetSports Golf. You know, Sam doesn't get credit for that much these days, but Sam was instrumental in the early days of getting BetSports Golf and the data off the ground there. And now it is, again, causation, correlation. We can get into discussions there. It is now currently by far the best tool that you could possibly find, but we would not have got there without Sam. So I want to give Sam his flowers at the top, because those are tough times trying to build a intricate, customizable golf database that had never been done to that scale before. So thanks to Sam for that, because kick-ass tool now. So sorry, Connor, stepped on you a couple of times there.
No, I was just curious because I know like Sam you tweet out a bunch of like really cool charts and stuff each week. Is that probably going to be scaled back? Or what do you think? Like, or still maybe be able to get that stuff done? And you also tweet out a chart of like different models, numbers, and like that. I'm assuming that's probably going to go away. But just curious, what does that look like?
Yeah, I still need to like totally figure out what I can and can't produce. I mean, I think just sharing stats and stuff will still be able to do that. You know, sharing just objective data that's out there is not something that I won't be able to continue doing. I think the frequency with which I do, you know, some of the ad hoc stuff that I've done in the past will certainly go down, just from a time perspective, and like I said, content not being front of mind for this role specifically. But they're not going to be able to totally silence me in my play charts.
That's good. I like to hear that. I feel like there was one more thing too. So yeah, probably no more like actual podcasts. Will you be? Oh yeah, this is the other question I had that I was thinking of. Are you going to be like the Jeff Benson of Penn? You know, like Jeff Benson is circa. Are you going to be that guy, the one just hopping in the replies, maybe fire up GRP and everything?
No, I really respect Jeff and his willingness to stick it to some people, and but that will not be me. I'm still going to be a little bit more reserved.
That would be amazing. It would be so out of like character for you to just be like this. I wouldn't say Jeff's aggressive, but like, you know, he'll clap back a little bit. That is, I think, you'd be a little bit more like, you know, not necessarily your social persona that's out there for people. You know, in social settings, you know, on the inside you'll clap back a little bit, but that'd be so funny if you just heel turn, you just get like this real aggressive, you know, borderline prick online. It'd be fantastic. I'm just saying, I'm just suggesting, you know, it's up to you.
Anytime anyone comes at you about like limiting, that's what it'll all just be about. It's limiting, not even about the pricing, which has nothing to do with your job. It's gonna be like, why am I limited? And then you're gonna have to just probably respond to them. So, well, it'll be fun. Maybe I'll just reply to you like that every single, you know, once a week and see what happens.
Then I'm gonna limit the number of tweets they can see from me and start blocking them.
Get out the block button. Honestly, fair. I'm surprised Benson doesn't do that more. He deals with some pretty interesting comments, but he's found himself deep in the weeds at this point. Like, he finds himself in some pretty strange conversations, and he's not without responsibility there on some of those. He certainly finds himself there on purpose.
Yeah. Thanks for good content, though. All right, let's talk football a little bit, Sam. Futures are, I think, very interesting. This time, Connor and I are making a more deliberate focus on that at this time, because I think it is where we start to get the narratives that shape these awards. I think in a meaningful way. I think you had probably a pretty impactful MVP game last week, with, you know, especially with the way that you had that Josh Allen run to kind of seal the deal. Those are the types of things here that happen in November and December that really shape voters' decisions in the market. So anything that you liked in the future space that's out there, it could be player level, team level, anything that caught your eye that's currently on the board for people.
Yeah, nothing specifically. I was looking at the MVP market yesterday, and I actually think it's pretty well priced right now. I think the guy outside of Allen and Lamar who has the best shot to compete with them probably is Jared Goff. I mean, if you look at the schedule that he has down the stretch, they play the Bears on Thanksgiving as a standalone game. They play the Packers on Thursday Night Football the following week. They face the Bills in the late Sunday afternoon. So, like, there could be this, Allen versus Goff type scenario. And then they get the 49ers in prime time on week 17. So there's going to be a lot of eyes on on the Lions, on Jared Goff. If he has games like he had against the Texans a couple weeks ago, it's not going to go in his favor. But if the offense continues to do what it's done the past couple weeks, I think, not that the credit has gone away from Ben Johnson, but I think a lot of the early excitement for the Lions offense has started to now shift towards, maybe Goff actually is good and is constructed or is guiding this offense in the right way, in ways that other quarterbacks might not. So again, I think if he does have at least competent games in all of these standalone games, then he's certainly got a shot to jump up there. I mean, if they keep winning too, they've got they're in the driver's seat for the 1 seed in the NFC as well. So I think, again, if there's anyone outside those top two, that it is Goff. But I think between Allen and Jackson, it's probably Allen. I don't know if there would be like some voter fatigue with Lamar Jackson the past several years, and just sort of wanting to give it to Allen as like he hasn't been in the league that long, but as a lifetime achievement MVP type thing. So I think it's Allen's award to lose at this point.
I think he's a good chalk too. I think you make a good point. I do think the voter fatigue thing is real with Lamar, because it is, again, this is an award that's voted on, so it's a little different. Connor back in like the summer was poking holes in Jared Goff to win MVP based off of the Week 16 game on the road in Chicago. That is probably the weather spot for Goff there. Jeff's in the chat. What's up, Jeff? Sam, have any thoughts on the Lions? That's the Lions matchup with the Bears, I'm guessing. Jeff.
Yep.
Jeff's
at
from Florida.
Chicago.
Yeah, just from Florida. Like this is a lot for him. So kudos to Jeff. Almost two sentences together, back to back. Which is super cool, bud. But yeah, any thoughts on that Bears game for Jared Goff?
I mean, again, it's one of those situations where if he does play well and he bucks that trend, everyone is going to give him the credit for overcoming this outdoor narrative that he has. If he plays poorly, it's just, classic Jared Goff outside. But it's, again, a lot of people will be looking for him to play poorly. And if he does play well, and again, plays well in all these standalone games, then I do think that that's going to only help his case.
Yeah. Connor, you've been banging the drum for anything Eagles related for a solid month here in terms of the future market. Your Jalen Hurts number shorter than it was, but still fairly well priced, 12 to 15, depending on your book. Any additional thoughts there, or any Goff thoughts, or however you want to take this discussion?
Yeah, I kind of thought it'd be lower by now, just to be honest, especially after a big win against the Commanders on Thursday. I thought that was pretty substantial. And then, but obviously they have a big
game. It's because they're running so much. It's so much Saquon,
Like, I don't know if he has enough stats, and he's not the one leading them there. So a big game against the Ravens, a 10-game win streak essentially heading, it might be basically at that point, that, in my opinion, would be pretty impactful. Again, I'm still holding on hope. We got in at 30. So, again, that's pretty solid. I don't think that 15 to 1 is still a bad price if you're looking for a bet. I don't think that that's bad, because again, they're going to keep winning. He's going to probably keep playing pretty well. So I think all those things are trending his direction. I don't have any specific other MVP takes in terms of my futures. One, though, I wanted to go over to the Offensive Rookie of the Year market. There's still a 30 to 1 on Brock Bowers at Offensive Rookie of the Year. Jaden Daniels like minus 600 on MGM, minus 400 DraftKings. I don't know. I mean, and Bo Nix is obviously up there, second favorite, and then it's Brock Bowers at 30-1. Brock Bowers is going to break the rookie receiving record of receptions for all pass catchers. That's just like, he's on pace to do that. And then he's going to break the tight end receiving rookie record, like for sure, if he hasn't already. I don't know. It's like 1,060 or something like that. So, I mean, this guy's just going to break records. So, like at the end of the year, I think that barring Jaden Daniels continuing to play well, which he has not played well against any good defense the last 3 weeks, actually, he's played pretty poorly. And then Bo Nix, who's played way better, but he's still, had a really terrible stretch for like half the season. Like, these are your two favorites, and you're competing that against a guy who's going to literally, the end of the year, these voters are going to be like, this guy broke like all these records. Like, he shouldn't at least be in consideration. Like, I don't know. 30-1 seems like a stretch, given all that. So I don't know. We'll see.
I do think 30-1 is longer than it should be, but Puka Nacua broke all these records last year, and they still gave it to CJ Stroud. Now, I think CJ Stroud has played better than at least what Daniels has done the last couple of weeks. I just think what Daniels did early in the season bought him so much goodwill in the voters' eyes that it might just take an injury for him to not win at this point.
Yeah, you're going to have a scenario here where you're probably, barring an injury, have two rookie quarterbacks take their team to the playoffs. Like Denver's kind of a coin flip basically right now, but they control their own destiny in terms of who they play, where they play them. I think they're like minus 120 or so basically across the board to make the playoffs. So, they're not a shoe-in, but that's a really tough path. Even though I agree with you, Connor, I agree with Sam's point too. It's probably too long of a price, but the path to it actually winning could be one of those like, LCLV situations in week 17. Like all of a sudden Brock is, he's like 8 or 10. You're like, oh, I got that 30, but the actual path to winning is not realistic.
Look, if you can pay your mortgage in Skolansky bucks, then by all means bet on Bowers.
I mean, look at our Mikey Samerstrill, defensive rookie of the year. That was 150. We're down to like 40. Like,
we're cooking.
So again, probably not winning the award, but that 150 looks pretty good in the account,
Yeah.
They want to give you the full cash out. They want to get your money, their full money back,
I don't even think that my cash out is like above the offer because all these damn pricing models. Sam, can you fix this? Or is this
Sam,
out of your,
first day on the job?
I haven't even started yet.
We need to fix this. So yeah, that's a good point. It's a bad number, I think, but like you said, it's going to be tough.
All right, so here you go. FanDuel, no shout out to them, but got it 151, $15 to win 2,300. My cash out is $13.45. I think they're pricing in the LCLV. They're like, you don't want to give them a cash out, even extra $5 because I might take it at this point. I mean, it's like, I don't know, we'll see. But I'm not cashing out for $1.50 loss. So
it's true. No, I'd hold that ticket home all the way. I still think there's some mispricing in the defensive player of the year market with Danielle Hunter. Talked about him a couple weeks ago. I don't know what, but yeah, I think it was a couple. Maybe it was like 50 or 60-1 to win defensive player of the year. Shop around. He's way mispriced compared to even his teammate Will Anderson Jr., who's hurt, not even playing. And Hunter's out there just like stacking 10 quarterback pressures a game, and 50 on MGM. Hard to get a lot down there, but 35 on DraftKings. Caesars has moved that significantly shorter, but he still is way off in comparison to what I think his actual impact has been. And again, his team makes the playoffs. TJ Watt, solid favorite there, but like the numbers aren't great. He's had way better seasons in the past. I don't think he should be minus 200 like he is here on DraftKings. So I think going down the board a little bit. Trey Hendrickson, still interesting. We made the call out for him last week. Gets a little harder now. The Bengals with another loss, like they have to make the playoffs. This is has to be basically tied. You have to break records if you're not leading a team defensively to the playoffs as well. It's why I think Hunter is interesting as well. So further down the board, again, Dexter Lawrence, like 10-1. They're not going to the playoffs, so it doesn't really matter. Nick Bosa dinged up a little bit. He's been awesome, but he's won before. Going to be hard for him to compile the stats here too. Hunter just keeps playing awesome ball. So worth a look, worth a sprinkle if you didn't get down on the 50s and 60s a couple weeks ago. I think it's still viable where it's at now, depending on where you get the price. All right, let's jump into we got a handful of good games this week. We got 6 teams on bye, but I think we have some interesting games in terms of how the playoff picture starts to shape up a little bit. I think some of these are impactful. The first one here is in Chicago. The Vikings on the road, visiting the new look Bears, I guess. 3.5 basically across the market. And those are juiced. We could be moving to a 3 there. Short total there, 39.5. Bears have a unique way of snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. They did that again last week against Sam's Packers. There were, again, some encouraging signs with Thomas Brown's first week as the play caller. We saw more 11 personnel. So we saw more Roman Dunze, but that looked nice. More efficient Caleb. Scrambled a little bit more. We saw a spike in RPOs where he kept it a little bit. So overall improvement helps when you have your offensive line, your starting tackles back in, which they did. Connor, the ask gets a little harder, though, in this spot against Minnesota, who, is just very, very disruptive on the defensive side of the ball with what they want to do. What are your thoughts here on Vikings Bears?
Yeah, I mean, we're literally a Hail Mary and a blocked field goal from the Bears being 6-4 instead of 4-6. And I think the narrative is a lot different in that instance. It's like, oh,
Sure.
Rookie quarterback, he'll get better. It's fine. But maybe Shane Waldron wouldn't have been fired. And it is good to have that guy out of any coaching after what we saw in the first segment of the games here. In this matchup specifically, though, I'm pretty worried about Chicago in this spot. I think Minnie's going to bring a lot of pressure. Caleb Williams under pressure this season, 41% completion rate, 4.8 yards per attempt. That's the 38th and 33rd out of 40 qualifying quarterbacks. Vikings get pressure, one of the highest rates in the league. Bears have only faced one other team in the top 10 of pressure rate. That was Houston. They sacked him 7 times. Caleb's pressured over 40% of his dropbacks. I mean, the only, I think, saving grace here is that Thomas Brown helped him get the ball out quick. They ran the ball a little bit more. Like, yeah, his lowest time to throw. So, I mean, this is just a lot of pressure in my mind on Thomas Brown because the O-line, they're not going to be able to hold up on this. I mean, the Vikings defense all season has just been in their bag in terms of exotic looks, what they're bringing. Like, I really struggled to get here with Chicago, and I've been a Bears fan since day one in the offseason, and I really struggle with this one. So, and not to mention, like, their Vikings run defense is good too. So it's not like, oh, they could just rely on the running game. I don't think that that's a reliable out either. It's going to be a lot of like 3rd and 6s for Caleb Williams. And I mean, I don't know what sack over unders, if that's possible to bet or just spray the board on individual players, but that needs to be a look.
Both.
Yeah, both.
You can do both. Sam, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, Bears offense certainly did look better last week, but I think now, again, there's tape out there in terms of what Thomas Brown wants to do with this offense, giving Brian Flores that extra time to actually try and figure out how to counter that. I think the offense won't have quite as much success. I think Minnesota's one weakness defensively has been allowing explosive pass plays. They allow explosive passes at the 2nd highest rate this season. Unfortunately, Chicago has not earned explosive pass plays that much this year. They are gaining them at the 4th lowest rate. And again, you mentioned Thomas Brown getting the ball out of Caleb's hands quicker last week, but I do think the way to attack this Minnesota defense is in the deep part of the field, down the field. Minnesota's allowing the 3rd most yak over expected on deep passes. They're tied for the 2nd most separation allowed on those targets as well, according to Next Gen Stats. So again, if there's a way that they can find to get some more deep shots, try the fake, wide receiver screen fake, and then, open someone up down the field type stuff. I think that's the way that Chicago is going to have success and, break open a couple of big plays.
So Rome longest might be a play here this week. We might have to take a look at.
All it takes is one.
Yeah, just take us beauty of those bets. I promise.
Real quick, I think that this was, I'm just remembering this now. I believe last year Luke Getsy tried to do exactly what we were talking about with like the screens against Minnesota with Justin Fields because they knew they'd bring so much pressure. And then I think he was fired the next week because he was throwing screens to like a bunch of bums. Like it was like not
a primetime game.
Yeah, but they won that one in Minnesota, I believe.
Did they win?
Right? It was close. It was a surprisingly close game. I remember. And it was a shift in philosophy. So I think Sam's right.
was pissed. That's what I remember is like there was a lot of
Yeah.
screens and people were like, this is the worst game plan ever. But actually it kind of made sense because the Vikings bring so much heat. Like you just got to get the ball out quick, otherwise you're a sitting duck. So yeah, what was it? There was 2 games last year. The Bears won they won one of them in November, 12-10. Then they lost the other one 19-13. So I'm pretty sure one of them got I think Getsy got canned after one of them, but I don't know.
Yeah. So you're interested in Minnesota here, but it looks like we're trending that way. Like you might get a 3.
That's interesting because I know our guy Hunter played it. I know another big service played Chicago or Minnesota 3. I mean, if we got Minnesota 3 or back to 3, I would be definitely in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, you can just go on a Profit X, Connor. Just lay a 3 out there. Take a little bit of action. You want to tell people about Profit X? People need to check this out. Profit X is it's basically, I don't know, future peer-to-peer gaming. Just pretty exciting. These exchanges have been, they are real popular in Europe for years, where you just basically can set your own market. You tell people a little bit about that.
Yeah, just real quick here. It looks like you can get Minnesota at 3. I mean, you can just take whatever liquidity they have there. It's -122. I don't know. Sam probably knows the math better than I do of buying a point from 3.5 to 3 and the value of that in terms of the juice. But it looks like compared to the other books, it's like 13 to 15 cents for half a point. I don't know. That could be worth it. Maybe not, but maybe it's better to lay the 3.5. If you want to lay the 3.5, you can obviously do that too. It's +102. So I guess would be a little bit more of a jump on Profit X specifically from 3.5 to 3. But again, it's kind of the beauty of it. Decent liquidity there. Again, you just literally create an account, legal in 46 states, use code BetSperts. And I think they give you 3% back up to $300 on all your plays for a first month or two. So it's kind of like makes the juice even like less somehow. So it's kind of cool feature. And for anyone not in a sports betting state in prison, hop on over to Profit X or another one of our sweepstakes partners, because it's I don't know how long it'll last, but it's awesome. It's great while it is. So yeah,
this loophole is pretty sick, especially for the jail states. These Florida's got one book. You can't really bet in Texas or California, some of these major markets, but you can through these sweepstakes partners, and Profit X is really cool. Again, you can put it on a t-shirt at some point. Losers pay winners. The way that the juice works here is significantly 10-20% different juice than what you're paying on standard lines for other books. So check it out. If you have questions, let us know. It's a great way to get down. Again, you can go ahead and make your own line and let someone else scoop the other side of it. So even better. You don't have to wait for the books to move to 3. San Francisco is in Green Bay. This is 2.5 basically out there for the most part. Again, getting a little bit pricey in the 2.5s. 47.5 for the most part is the total. Out here too. Early action on Green Bay. This is kind of around to pick them to open the week, Sam. Some love coming in here to support your Packers. I think there's some key injuries that we have to monitor on both sides that are going to be impactful to the handicap here. Nick Bosa and George Kittle banged up for the 49ers. And on the Packers side, Jair Alexander, the knee injury cost him most of last week's game. Not thought to be serious. Did not practice today, though, so we need to kind of monitor things moving forward here. But tough spot, important for both these teams. The path for San Francisco continues to be really hard. Really tough slate of games moving forward. Like they're on the road in Buffalo next week, so not that we're in like must-win situation here, but they're 5-5. Starts to get a little harder if you keep losing these games. What are your thoughts on Niners Packers?
Yeah, I think this is a bit of a buy low, sell high spot. Buying the 49ers and hate to go against my Packers here, but both of these teams' red zone efficiency has been pretty poor this year. They're both below 50% in converting their red zone trips to touchdowns, which is bottom 7 in the league for both. But San Francisco is still 4th in the percent of their total drives ending in a score. They've had an offensive success rate over 50% in 3 of their last 5 games. And Green Bay's defense is struggling quite a bit more than they were early in the season because the turnovers have just gone away. In the first 6 games that they played, they forced 17 turnovers. That's like almost 3 per game. And then in the last 4 games, they've forced just 2 turnovers. And those both came in one game. Their down-to-down consistency on defense has suffered. They have a 48.3% success rate allowed over the last 4 games. So I want to buy the 49ers. I do think I would wait until we get news on Kittle and Bosa, because I think those are two injuries or two players that are about as impactful as you'll get from a non-quarterback perspective. So I think Bosa specifically, but yeah, I struggle with saying that, but I think this is a buy spot for the 49ers.
Yeah. It's a good point, though. I mean, I do think Bosa is massively impactful. Not that Jair is not for the Packers. They do have decent depth in the secondary. They have a lot of versatility. They could do a lot of different things and move guys in different ways without him. The Bosa injury is pretty impactful. Connor, shocked as I am that he didn't come up here and cave up for the Packers. But what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I was expecting. I'm proud. Sam's not a biased Packers fan. I did watch a Packers game with him this year, and it's obviously he was cheering for him. But it comes up here, talks up the Niners, and I agree with a lot of his points. I think that it's just I want to be buying the Niners. I think they're a really good team. They haven't put it on paper. Their metrics don't look like it. But not a whole lot's changed. Except for injuries, and it's just been like a lot of random injuries that are rotating right now, and they just haven't been able to put it all together. Ran into a Seattle team last year that we'll talk about them in a little bit, or last week, that I think is healthier, and when they've been healthy, they've been pretty good defensively. And so I think that's almost like a misleading result a little bit relative to like their actual strength. And this Packers team, Sam laid it out great. Like their EPA looks good because of all the factors you mentioned, but their success rate is not that good. I think that like perfectly illustrates the differences between the two metrics. So for me, it's probably Niners money line. Obviously, the injuries matter. Bosa and Kittle do. I think if Bosa plays and Kittle doesn't, I'll probably still take a piece of the Niners, whatever number that is. If neither of them play, I might be a little more skittish.
The other one on the Niners side too is Charvarius Ward, who's terrible news. The loss of his 1-year-old daughter a couple weeks ago has been not with the team since, and impactful corner for them too. So him out of the lineup is also massively impactful. So the Niners at this number, 2.5, nice teaser leg too. There's some other options on the board too. You can again get them through the 3 and through the 7 here, which is pretty nice considering the total is not crazy necessarily. All right, next one. Again, another impactful game in the Niners, not necessarily scoreboard watching, but this is another one that is impactful for the NFC playoff race, specifically the NFC West. Arizona on the road in Seattle. We have the depending on where you're at, basically a pick 'em short road favorite for the Cardinals. 47.5 is the total here as well. Again, Cardinals are 6-4. Everyone below them 5-5. So that's kind of the one thing that's nice for the Niners. Like no one's really run away with this here. The things start to get interesting if the Cardinals do take care of business here. They would start to separate themselves, and it get a little harder for the Seahawks on their path to the playoffs. Would get a little bit tougher. But Connor, I'll give you the floor here when you talk to me about this matchup.
Yeah, like as I mentioned, the Seattle defense, when fully healthy, or at least mostly healthy, has played pretty well this year. Obviously showed it last week, and then now they draw the Cardinals. Though I mean, the Cardinals are really interesting because I wanted to be. They looked like they were kind of down for the count offensively. Midway through the year, really struggling against anyone not named the Rams. Essentially, to that point. Since then, last 3 games, 31, 29, 28 points. They are tied with the Detroit Lions in both EPA per play and success rate for first overall in those last 3 weeks. So, I mean, they've been cooking. They're playing well. Offensively, they're doing well. And so that's not something I necessarily want to bet against. And on the other side, though, Seattle and Geno, against an Arizona team that's not going to get much pressure. Stu mentioned that in our private chat earlier, and I thought that was a great point. Like we could see, Geno and the Seattle offense play pretty well against Arizona. So maybe an over, but I don't know. I worry like if the Seattle defense is for real, they've occasionally shown up in massive spots, and the Cardinals offense has been, I don't know, not stellar the entire year. I worry that we could get a down spot there, and Seattle might just be the side. But if obviously both offenses are playing well, like this is going to be a massive shootout. So they can go one of either ways, but I think that's how I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I agree with what Connor said there, Sam. The element that can really impact Seattle's offense this season has been the ability to stop pressure, which they haven't done very well. Geno's done a good job at avoiding sacks, but the man can only handle so much. Like it's been relentless this season with the amount of pressure. And part of it is, drawback rate is pretty high, so it just creates more opportunities. But Arizona, according to Next Gen Stats, the only team in the NFL without a defender who's generated 20 pressures this season. Bottom 3 in pressure rate on the season. Clean pocket Geno, Jackson Smith and Jigba's kind of cooking a little bit here. I still don't believe Arizona is a legit division winner playoff team. But hey, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. What are your thoughts on this one?
I think Seattle needs to get back to throwing the ball more. They were super pass heavy to start the season, and they have a negative 3.1% pass rate over expectation in their last 4 games. It doesn't make sense. Why? I mean, maybe it's because of DK Metcalf being out for a couple of games, but they're 30th in EPA per rush this year. I think Kenneth Walker is a great threat in the passing game, but just hasn't shown necessarily the juice the last several weeks. And the Seahawks are still 3rd in explosive pass rate this season. So I think, again, if they want a chance to stay with Arizona, whose offense I do think is above average, they just need to let Geno sling it some more. Again, he'll have his full set of weapons in JSN, Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. And I don't know why they started to get more conservative going towards the run here. So I think if they, again, even if it's just, at expectation that they're passing, that's better than passing below expectation.
Yeah. Probably Seattle play for me here. I just believe in them. And again, stuck on priors a little bit on both these squads, definitely carrying some Seattle to make the playoff tickets, and should probably just let it ride. But I feel like this is a good matchup for them to kind of propel themselves into the backstretch here and kind of make a race for that spot here. And it makes this West is going to be pretty wild here down the stretch. All right, another impactful one in the West. The Rams, they are hosting Philadelphia here, Sunday nighter. The Eagles are short favorites here. There are some 2.5s here on DraftKings, a little juicy. 3s out there in other spots. 49 is the total in most spots as well. Philly defense is really starting to cook, Sam. Been playing some good ball here. What are your thoughts on Eagles Rams?
Yeah, I mean, I was skeptical of the Eagles defense the last month and a half, thinking it was a function of their schedule. Obviously, the performance against the Bengals, who are a top 5 offense, was impressive, but the rest was unimpressive. But last Thursday night, they turned me into a believer on the season. They're now 5th in EPA per play, 3rd in success rate, 3rd in explosive play rate allowed. They are only 25th in pressure rate, but they're 10th in sack rate. So that's good. And ultimately, the production is matching the talent that they have on defense as well. I mean, Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are incredible, playing incredibly for rookies. Zach Bond is the 4th highest graded linebacker on PFF. Jalen Carter playing like sort of the game record we expected him to be. But like Connor was mentioning during the MVP conversation, I think they're just going to continue to run the ball. I mean, their negative 8.1% pass rate over expectation is 31st in the league. If you remove the Packers, who just went extremely run heavy with Malik Willis those couple of games, then the Eagles are dead last. And it makes sense why they are running the ball so well. They're 3rd in yards before contact per carry, 2nd in rush EPA per play, 7th in success rate, 5th in explosive rush rate. So they've been able to lean into the run this much because they're doing it so well. And so the Rams somehow need to force them into some passing situations. They're obviously getting a lot of pressure on defense with Jared Verse playing extremely well. But Jalen Hurts is 18th in EPA per play allowed, or 18th in EPA per play when he's pressured. So that's going to be the way the Rams win this game. But if the Eagles have their way running the ball, then it could be another blowout like we've seen from the Eagles the past several weeks.
Having Jordan Mailata back is impactful too. The fact that they were so efficient running the ball without him was impressive as well. Just, again, top 3 graded PFF tackle, both, in terms of, run blocking and pass blocking. Came back last week. That's massive for them too, which is crucial. And if you look too, even over the last 4 weeks, that pass rate over expectation, it's like negative 11.5. So they've been even more run heavy as of late as well. A couple other nuggets that I found really interesting, like since week 5, their best unit in EPA defensively. They have the highest success rate as well. So they've been just dominant in both of those metrics. By far the lowest explosive rates, both on the ground and in the air too, which is interesting to see. And dominating time of possession, which is part of obviously running the ball so well. And this is really cool. Since week 5, they faced the fewest amount of defensive snaps in the league. One fewer than Kansas City. So really close, not massively off of the rest of the league, but just dominating the ball. Though it's only one play separate from Kansas City. Kansas City is also second in the yards allowed over that time frame, but the gap between Philly and Kansas City is 400 yards, though it's just one play difference. So this Philly defense has been really good, and you called it out. I mean, the rookies, Sam, have been awesome. Quentin Mitchell deserves some defensive rookie of the year consideration. He's down to 3-1. Cooper DeJean missed a lot of the start of the season, but he's been a revelation in the slot for them, supporting the run in a different way, like really kind of just locked everyone in their right roles in that defense. And there's not a lot of holes talent-wise there. So, they're definitely an interesting team here down the stretch. Again, the matchup for what the Rams want to do gets tough because of, how well this pass defense is playing too. So I like the Eagles here, especially under 3, which you can get on DraftKings here, still a little bit juicy. Again, these LA games on the road too in prime time. I know the Rams aren't necessarily the Chargers, but these feel like pseudo home games for these visiting teams, especially when they're good national teams too. Like Philly is going to travel well. They have the fans all over the place. That's probably a 50-50 split on a Sunday night too. And that gets pretty rowdy pretty quick. All right. Last one. Just before Thanksgiving, Monday Night Football, Harbaugh Bowl. The brothers get together. Ravens, Chargers. Ravens short favorites here on the road in LA. 2.5 is the number basically across the board, though there are some short 3s that are moving out there, like Sam's ESPN bet. 50 is the total. We have some 50 or some 49.5s there as well. We keep kind of talking about the Chargers defense. Haven't really played anyone just in terms of looking at DVOA on opponent offenses against. Still by far the easiest in the league. We saw, my discussion and kind of me planting my flag there looked a little rough in the first half. And then you started to see what could happen there a little bit. Cincinnati started cooking. Again, this Ravens team has a different level, maybe bouncing back a little bit off of, a tough game in the division there. Connor, talk to me about Ravens Chargers.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting game because I think that Herbert and the Chargers pass rate, the last 4 weeks has been way, way, way higher. And that obviously matches up really well against the Ravens defense that, they just keep getting injured and they weren't really all that good to begin with. So now the injuries are just piling up. And it's pretty tough scenes right now for them. And the Chargers passing game, meanwhile, has just been awesome. There's the meme with the Ferrari and the shitty garage, that thing, it's like Herbert's finally driving into a nice house. It's just they're letting him go. They're letting him cook. And it's awesome. It's great to see. And it's cool because they're using the pass game now to open up the running game in a sense. The running game, at least when I saw when they started passing the ball more, just became way, way more effective instead of just the opposite, which is kind of what they tried to do earlier in the season. And so in this spot too, again, pass funnel Ravens team here, Chargers pass offense is cooking. And this Chargers defense, I don't know how they keep doing it. We don't really know what's going on. It's one of those things that I've started thinking about in my head that I'm comping this Chargers team to the Steelers with Ben Roethlisberger, almost from before, where they have randomly good defenses they always just figure out, but they have a quarterback who can actually throw the ball and be competent and be a gunslinger when they need him to be. And it's turning out great. And so I'm a fan. I want to keep buying the Chargers. Before the season, we kind of said it. We're I don't know why, but I was I think that they're going to just be good. I can't tell you why. It's just kind of the vibes that I'm getting. And it's kind of another thing here. Vibe-based analysis I know is not super strong, but the metrics are great. From an actual quantitative standpoint, metrics are great. Herbert looks great, and it's a good matchup. So Chargers money line, Chargers +3. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but I'm into it.
Sam, how high do you turn the vibes dial when you're modeling? Is there a vibes range?
Kind of have a vibes knob.
Yeah.
It varies by team. I think the Chargers are one of the teams you're dialing that knob for the most. I can't for the life of me figure out what the Chargers are, because before their bye, they were, again, this ground and pound. They're running the ball a ton team, what everyone thought the Chargers were going to be with Jim Harbaugh. And then they go to their bye, They come out passing a ton. They continue to pass a ton. Herbert is playing like a top 3 to 4 quarterback right now. I mean, some of the throws he's making are incredible. To build off the Ferrari analogy, I mean, it feels like Herbert is the Ferrari, but he has like off-brand tires, just like not great accessories, because again, Ladd McConkey playing extremely well. Like, he's been a phenomenal receiver for them. But I mean, then you got Quentin Johnson. Will Dissly is like leading the team in receiving yards some of these games. Like, he's making do with these below average set of skill group players. And then on the defensive side, to your point, like, they haven't played anyone. I crowned them after the first half of the Bengals game, saying like, all right, I believe it, I'm in. And then the second half happened and they just got torn to bits. Now, I think part of that is the Bengals got into a situation where they had to play their strength. I mean, they had to pass the ball to come back, and that is their strength. But again, I think to Connor's point, if the Chargers want to win this game, they're going to have to pass the ball, because this Ravens secondary has been, torn apart. They're allowing the highest explosive pass rate. I mean, Pittsburgh didn't have a great day against them this past week, but Justin Herbert's a tad better than late career Russell Wilson. So I do think a potential live angle, if the Chargers do get down big, is to take the Chargers on a spread, something like that, because again, they'll be forced to pass, which is the Ravens' defensive weakness. So I hope that the Chargers continue to pass. I think Jim Harbaugh is also a bit of a wild card behind the wheel of that Ferrari, because he hasn't been, the best in-game decision maker that we've seen this year. And in some cases, he hasn't necessarily had to be, because they're winning at margin. So this could be potentially one of those games where there is a coaching mismatch between the two Harbaughs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that you make a good point. We could have that. I think it's a great angle too. You mentioned the live angle. If Baltimore gets kind of a little bit of control, it might force the Chargers into what's probably their ideal script to compete anyway. He kind of takes the ball out of their hand and makes them be a little bit more pass happy. And I think that's what happened there against the Bengals. I mean, I was down bad at halftime of that game. I'm like, man, I keep going on the show talking about this Chargers defense is somewhat fraudulent. I don't know how they're doing it. It was rough. And then I'm like, all right, some justification. And I think there could be some points here too, because this Ravens offense sometimes play with their food a little bit, gets a little bit wonky. You don't know why they can't just run up the score. And then all of a sudden they can kind of turn the switch. So yeah, points here. They still think 49.5 might be a little bit light too, with the game script we're talking about too. And then maybe the Chargers are another nice leg of, I don't know. The Ravens are a little bit more volatile. I don't know. I want to be on the other side of that teaser leg. But yeah, I mean, it's in the right spot if you happen to want to dance that way. But, there are probably some other options on the board. But yeah, I think it's going to be a nice prime time spot to take us into the weekend. Any other lines here, Connor, got your attention?
I think we hit on most of them here. I mean, I'm not opposed to laying 10, 11 with the Chiefs, to be honest, against the Panthers, which sounds crazy, but I mean, I'm certainly not opposed to that at all, to be honest. And then Patriots.
Yeah, buddy. We're going to give Drake May 7.5.
Yeah, I think plus 7.5 is kind of nice, or the over. Like, I think that both of those are fine. I mean, this Dolphins defense, their metrics are really interesting because they obviously were like trotting out like Snoop Huntley and a bunch of bums. So like teams were just like running like kind of like shit against them. They're just like playing really inefficient football because they could. The games were basically over at like halftime. Teams got a 10-point lead and the game was over. And so now I think it was like the last 3 or 4 weeks they're averaging like 41 pass attempts per game against, because Tua is like, I mean, it's back to normal Dolphins offense. So I think the way to play this is probably more of like the over, because I don't really think that this Dolphins defense is necessarily all that good. I think they're just probably about average, to be honest.
Yeah. 45.5 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
Interesting look there too. Sam, anything else on the board that caught your attention this week?
No, I mean, to Connor's point, I mean, you got to be happy as a Patriots fan, because
I'm back, baby.
You're seeing what you want to see from Drake May in your rookie quarterback.
We're losing,
and they're making the games close, but they're losing. And so your draft pick is going to be good. You're going to be able to build around Drake May. And again, I've been super impressed with what I've seen from him so far this year. I mean, a lot of the rookie quarterbacks have played quite well so far. I think, again, you get some weapons around Drake May. I mean, maybe T. Higgins joins the Patriots this offseason type thing. But in any case, I don't have anything else for this week. Just excited to watch some ball.
Yeah, I was so bummed last year, and the Pats went into Denver in December and won that game. I was like, we're blowing the number 1 spot. We're blowing we're going to end up blowing the number 2 spot, and just sitting here in the draft season, just like hoping the Drake May would fall. The Drake May discourse got kind of wild.
Wild, yeah.
And
he was in play to be the number 1 pick, and then just out of nowhere, they're like, yeah, he's clear number 3. You know, I just wasn't much of a reason why. So
it's these things just when you're around and you're kind of dubbed as one of the guys, and we just get more tape on you over time. It's just a cycle of like, all right, we have to find flaws in your game. We start to pick you apart, and all of a sudden you're, not the prospect that we thought you were. It's like still pretty young, the youngest of the bunch.
There's that LSU highlight season bump that he got from Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, that'll help too.
Yeah, and the last thing to watch out on, there was a thing from Coach Speak Index today that how they're talking about like designed runs, because like basically all of Drake May's runs are scrambling, and the coaching staff like the last 3 weeks is like, we're not going to do that. And then this week they're like, well, we need to figure out how to he's evolving and use his game skill set better, so we'll put more on his plate. So like they kind of leaving the door open for it, and that'd be pretty awesome. I don't know if that's necessarily what you wanted to be doing now, just in terms of like an injury perspective, but like in the future, mixing in some like designed runs would be pretty sick, or like just some RPOs. It'd be fun.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, not ton. Maybe 3, 4, 5 a game. I don't know, something like that.
I want him healthy heading into the off season, so we can kind of hit that off season program 100%. 1 splash play per game, that works because we just hit the longest rush. We don't need volume, anything like that. Let's just make sure we stay upright. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it's really encouraging because the offensive line is terrible as well. So it feels good. I mean, everyone obviously felt terrible for me considering the last couple of years, because Patriots fans are definitely fans that people feel a lot of remorse towards. So thanks for welcoming back to reality. It's a reality. Yeah, it was rough for a while, but we probably deserve to have it be.
It was rough for a while. 3 seasons.
A little bit longer. Yeah, right. No, we deserve to have it rough for long. I'm being honest.
Yeah, it should have been. It should have been longer. Also, by the way, the Bears-Pats game, there were so many Patriots fans. It was crazy. Like there was and the Bears fans usually travel pretty well and they go to most games. I mean, it was like the stadium was filled with Pats fans before the game, like 20, 30 minutes before the game. There was like no Bears fans there. It was crazy.
Yeah, I went last time they were here. I didn't go this year, but yeah, it's they've been an easy, fair weather bandwagon team for new fans over the last 20 years, so it is what it is. So all right, Sam, it's good to see your face, buddy. We appreciate it again. Genuinely thrilled for you and your family in the future. This is exciting stuff for you. So remind people where they can find you and your work, or whatever that looks like, because they probably can't find all your work, but some of it.
Yeah, all my work at this point is just going to be on Twitter or on Blue Sky at Sam Hoppin. Like I said, won't be doing any consistent written work or podcast stuff unless people like you guys get far down their guest list and want to invite me on. But yeah, I'll be a little bit quieter over the coming weeks and months, but got some fun things we're working on.
Maybe we can get a little golf simulator together this winter or something like that. Just Connor's starting to feel himself a little bit, so we got to put him back, check him a little bit. He's rocking golf hats, roped golf hats now. I mean, I don't even know who this guy is. I'm actually proud of him. I really love it, but this is a new iteration of Connor.
I need something to get my competitive juices flowing now that I'm just like the most washed of all time. So, it's just golf and that's it. Gym and gambling. That's like basically my life now, which is pretty lame, but whatever. I think that's what you do when you get old, right?
Yeah, you're ready for a kid. Really, just take all those exciting
3 G's of adulthood right there.
Yeah, you're in it, man. You're in it. So, Yeah, shout out to Sam. Everyone find him on Twitter, Blue Sky at Sam Hoppin. Again, don't forget to subscribe to Move the Line wherever you are taking this in. 4 bets on the YouTube channel, Move the Line wherever you listen to podcasts. Come back on Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern for the Prop Drop Show with Slop, Connor, and myself. For Sam and Connor, I'm Ryan. We'll see y'all next time. Thanks, everybody.